We all know that when you're trying to land that client, or I don't know, you're trying to lay the groundwork for that next promotion, the devil is in the details. It's in the small talk that you're making to establish common ground with the other person on the other side of the table. So we're going to talk in this video today on how to have better conversations. Now, I want to cite a book right at the outset here, just to lay a little bit of the groundwork for you. Women leaders are often judged on two metrics. This is talked about in Tara Moore's book called Playing Big. It's one of my favorite books, and I talk about it all the time. She says that women leaders are judged on two metrics when you first meet them: warmth and competence. Now, warmth is something that you can figure out right off the bat when you meet somebody. It's an energetic thing. It's an energetic exchange. Competence is something that is gleaned over time. So you show up again and again and again, you deliver consistently, and that's how you figure out whether or not somebody is competent. So women leaders who don't demonstrate warmth usually get dinged down the line. They don't get advanced, they don't get the promotions. One way that you can demonstrate warmth is to ask questions. So, hey, how's your family? Oh, I know that your daughter was sick the other day. Is she feeling better? How was your vacation? You look like you're weighed down by a lot of things. You want to tell me what's on your mind? Those little bids for connection can establish warmth and go a long way towards helping you to be a little bit more conversational. Now, I have noticed that the people with the most amount of content in their heads are usually the ones that are the biggest extroverts and probably successful in establishing conversations. So how can you figure out ways to be interesting? I personally love to read magazines, listen to podcasts, visit museums, have experiences, and be interesting to talk to. I like being a little bit of a jack of all trades, knowing a little bit about something about everything, so that I can lend to a conversation. I've noticed that my boyfriends, I have some friends, they will walk into a room and just immediately start talking about an experience that they had or a vacation they were on. They don't even wait for other people to give them permission to be interesting. So my second tip is to not only think about, conversation and how to have good conversation, but have some content up here that you can share so you're interesting to talk to. Now, I, on the flip side, am a little bit quieter. I like to observe people. I like to ask a lot of questions. So I'm going to share with you the tips that have worked for me to be a better conversationalist. Number one is that I lean on how I am as a journalist. I ask a lot of questions. I'm genuinely curious. If you tell me you're a painter, well, what style of painting do you do? How did you decide that you wanted to be a painter? When you paint things, what is your favorite thing to paint? It's something that's called the spokes method. If you meet somebody and you don't know their area of expertise, let's say it's diamonds or botany or the stock market, figure out a way to ask questions around the topics that relate to botany or astronomy or the stock market, and act like a beginner. I'll say, one time I remember meeting a judge. I don't know much about what it takes to be a judge. How did you decide that that was going to be your career? Don't be afraid to be a beginner and carry the conversation that way. Number two is to find common ground. Everybody likes to find people that are like them. It's part of being human. So what can you do to establish common ground and find those same here moments? For me, if a person talks about travel or cigars or scotch, these are things that I love, that I call myself an aficionado. But if you can find that common ground, that's always going to help your cause in being a better conversationalist. I used to use this tactic when I was in a commercial break and I was about to interview a CEO. I would spend those few minutes just talking about anything so we could figure out a common ground and I could put that person at ease.
It's a pleasure to meet you tonight.
Number three is to talk slower. And hey, I'm totally guilty of this. When I'm not on TV, I really had to train myself to talk a lot slower, because what does that achieve? It makes me more approachable. I try to smile, I try to breathe, and I make sure that I am somebody that you're safe to be able to come and talk to me. Hold eye contact. Bill Clinton is somebody that's often talked about as being very charismatic. One of the things that Bill Clinton often did was hold eye contact with somebody that he was talking to and make them feel like they were the only person in the room. It showed that he was present and it showed that he was there to listen. And so holding eye contact, you'd be surprised how most people probably don't hold eye contact for as long as they should, but try it as an experiment to see. It's going to make you a better conversationalist. Notice the details. Notice the details. If a person's just like out of breath and they're just trying to collect themselves, maybe now's not the time for you to be trucking on about the story of, that time you saw this painting that you really loved. Give that person a few minutes. Hey, it looks like you're a little bit flustered. I want to give you a few minutes to settle in, and then we can start to talk. Notice the details. Offer a unique compliment. This can be a great conversational starter. If the person's wearing some interesting earrings, or they're wearing a fancy scarf, or you love the way that their hair looks and you want to ask them about their hairstylist, offer a compliment. This is one of my biggest bugbears, but know when to speak and know when to listen. We all know people that love to suck all of the oxygen out of the room, but can you express a thought? Let it go all the way to its end, run its course, but then stop so that the other person or the other party can weigh in on what you just shared. Of course, there's always going to be times where you're going to interrupt. I get this way because I get so excited about what somebody is talking about. So if it comes to pass that you've interrupted the other person, say, hey, before I interrupted you, you were talking about XYZ. Again, you're complimenting the other person by noticing the details and sharing that you were in fact listening before you interrupted them. Also, if a new friend or a new person joins the conversation, I like to bring them up to speed on what I was just talking about so they feel included. They feel like they've come to the party and they're welcome there. So if Sally comes and joins, hey Sally, so good to see you. I'm so glad that you could join us today. I was just talking to Jane about private school in New York City, and we were lamenting just how expensive that is. Do you have any kids? I'll make an effort to tee up the conversation that was already underway and include the new person to see if they have something to contribute to the conversation. And then the final way to be a better conversationalist is to practice, practice, practice. Most people think that you have to network in a very formal environment. You have to be at a dinner or you have to be at an event. But networking and conversations can happen anywhere. It can be with your Uber driver. It can be in the elevator. I've seen people and friends do it with the barista at a coffee shop. I was standing in a line to get a COVID test for 4 hours the other day, and I spoke to the person in front of me. I spoke to the person behind me. We generally just complained about the fact that we had been standing in line for so long, but there is an opportunity to practice your conversational skills no matter where you are. All you got to do is commit to it. If you liked any of the content that you see here, I wanted to share with you that I'm hosting a public speaking masterclass so you can learn more skill sets like this to get that promotion or lay the groundwork for getting that client. I'm hosting a webinar actually on January 6th, so you can ask me all the questions that you have about what's going to go on in the class, who's going to be in it, how many, so on and so forth. I'm hosting that webinar on January 6th. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and all you got to do is go to joyadas.com/webinar to be able to sign up and register. And if you like any of the content here, ping me with a DM down below. Let me know if you used any of my conversation starters and if they worked for you. I would love to hear from you. And please subscribe to my channel. Just hit the subscribe button down below and you'll get a bell notification every single time I upload a new video. I usually do them on Tuesdays. See you soon.